Okay, and then Act 3, oh, in Act 2 you have to dance. Okay, that's part of the show. All right, you'll be rated on your dance moves. And then in Act 3 you have to sing. So that makes some of you probably a little nervous who've never danced or sung, like me, right? But this cast is amazing, so they're going to bring it out of us, all right? So, opening jokes. So I'm not a funny guy in general. So I went to one of my daughters, who's 9, and said, hey, can you help me? I want to collaborate with you on some jokes, right? Because it's good for the brain. If we tell a few jokes, it opens your mind to learning. And she said, yeah, no problem, Dad. Here, let me make this Bitmoji for you, because that makes you look pretty funny, right? And then she said, try these jokes out. So she wrote a couple jokes. So what is the cheetah's favorite food? Anybody know? Yeah. Cheetah. That's what I thought. That was my answer, Carmen. That was my answer. But that wasn't it. Anybody else have an answer? Fast food. Fast food. Good. Can you give me another one? Yeah. She said, what did the cucumber say when it got confused? What did the cucumber say? What's that?
Am I in a pickle? I guess I'm in a pickle.
I'm in a pickle. Nice. You're on fire. Nice. And then I went through it one more time. You go to the well so many times, right? And I said, give me the funniest joke you've ever heard. And you know what she said to me? She said, Dad, if I did that, you'd die laughing. And then she dropped the mic on me.
Oh.
So we thank her for that. Now our brains are open. Now we're ready to look at brain. So I had another issue with the right side of my brain. I'm not a very good drawer, so I went to my other daughter who's 9. I said, can you draw me a brain? Right? Can you draw me a brain? And she said, sure, Dad, no problem. So I said, well, make sure you show the frontal lobe, right? Right? And then make sure you show the motor cortex, the sensory cortex, right? The occipital lobe, the temporal lobe, and the cerebellum, right? And then I was like, well, I'd like to do that, right? I'd like to do that. So that's my brain. And I said, teach me, right? And she looked at me and she's like, well, Dad, you just got too many words up there. You're way left. You're way left side of the brain. So I'm introducing some concepts we're going to talk about later. And then she said, look at your sulcus and your gyri. There's no definition in your brain. You haven't practiced. And she was fresh off a week of art camp. Telling me I've practiced. What does that sound like, right? And that's rehab, right? It's no definition, no color, right? And smudge. See the eraser marks? And when we get injured, we get smudge in our brain. It loses its definition. It loses its connection. Whereas over here, it's a good brain, right? Color, right? Right? The definition, you can see the depth of her gyri, her sulci. There's ridges, right? It's nice. And all these words, what do they all mean? Well, that was for me. It was the canvas of the show to see how to bring it all together. But, you can't hear me? No. Take the okay. That would be better.
2 minutes later.
How about now? Yeah. All right. Sorry about that. For those of us that were here in the show, do I need to repeat any of that? From the beginning. Take it from the top. All right. So you guys get the idea. If you practice, that's rehab. We bring you back from that injury. When you have a concussion, you have an injury to your brain that we can't quite see, right? It's a shearing of axons in your brain that don't show up on an MRI, and they don't show up on MRA, right? You can't see it. You can't see it, but you have symptoms that present, and that's our job, to delineate where the symptoms are coming from, and then figure that out. So you guys are the caregivers in Act 2, so let's learn about the brain. Did you guys download the Naked Brain app for the show? No. You never heard that there was an app for the show? They didn't tell you that in the registration? Nope. We didn't see that. Well, it's old school. You got to get your hand out. Get your hand out. Get your hand out. There's your app. We're going to use your hand. thanks to this gentleman here, Dr. Daniel Siegel. He's a psychiatrist, Harvard trained. He works out at UCLA now at the medical center. He developed a hand model for the brain so we could all learn more about our brains and conceptualize it. Because you think about it, our brains, we look in the mirror, we can't see it. We hurt our knee, we can look at it and see it. Conceptualize where the pain is, right? Our brains, we can't look in the mirror and see it. We have all these thoughts. We don't know where they come from or where they came from, right? Why they came from. So, and it's from his book in Mindsight. So everybody has their hand model, right? So let me set this down for a second. So if we look at your arm, let's call that. Everybody get their hands out. Right? Get them up. Hands up. You're gonna be dancing with these hands in about a second. Yeah. So you have your spinal cord here, okay? And then you come up to this meaty part. That's called from your brainstem into your cerebellum. Okay? Open your hand up and see the thumb is your amygdala and hippocampus, which is actually your limbic system. Right? Your limbic system. It's your emotional center. Anybody ever triggered by their emotions? Anybody? No? Yeah, me too. Right? You have these triggers in your life. And then you put the higher cortex over top. How about that? Look at that. Our brain sits on top of our emotions, which sits on top of our cerebellum, which sits on top of our spinal cord, which goes to all our limbs. Interesting. We're driven by that. But we can control that, right? Right? Now my emotions are getting the best of me. I'm flipping my lid. You ever flip your lid? Dr. Daniel Siegel says, flip your lid, right? Right? If your emotions get the best of you, you get triggered and you flip your lid. And if you reflect on it, then you can bring it back, right? So you're going to see Meaningless, and he's going to flip his lid in the show, right? And what did one volcano say to the other? What's that? Anybody know? Yeah. That blew my mind. Not for this show. We're not blowing minds in the show. Anybody? In the red shirt? What's that?
Don't blow your top.
Don't blow your top. I lava you. I lava you. So when Meaningless in the next act blows his top or flips his lid, I need to hear all you say, we lava you, we lava you. Want to try that up? We lava you, we lava you. Yeah, I lava you too. Very nice. Okay? So now you understand vertical integration, right? From the spinal cord, from our toes to our cerebellum. And if we just had vertical integration, we'd be able to walk, we'd be able to reproduce, we'd be able to survive. But we wouldn't thrive. Because we'd have no meaning, right? There's no meaning. So that's where the higher cortex comes in. And if you look at your hand, just take it and look at the fingers underneath, right? And how it's attached, the prefrontal cortex, how it's attached to that limbic system, your emotional center. And then that's the frontal lobe, right in the front, right here. And that's where your problem-solving ability comes in. That's where your meaning happens. That's where your higher level of thinking happens, okay? Right in that frontal lobe. And right on the back side of that, right around your knuckles, surprisingly, sits your motor cortex. Your motor cortex sits right there. So and then right behind that, behind the knuckles, is your sensory cortex. And that means whatever you're sensing throughout your body. Motor cortex controls your muscles, right? And how you move. And then behind that, then you can move into your occipital lobe, back by your wrist, which is your visual perception. How you perceive things, how your eyes perceive the world around you. Okay? And on the sides, you have your temporal lobe, your short-term memory, okay? Your to recall, your ability to acknowledge language, comprehend language happens there. Okay? So, let's try it out.
I lobby.
We lobby. Meaningless. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it, buddy. He's getting ready backstage. Remember, you guys are the caregivers. It's coming up. So you just learned about vertical integration and how that affects your body. Okay? That's how we go vertical. Now we're working on how we work horizontally, how we connect the two sides of the brain through horizontal integration or across the corpus callosum. What is that? So the right side of your brain. Remember, my daughter was able to draw the picture, right, and give color to it. And she's like, Dad, you know the right side develops earlier in your brain. And then when you get older, the left side comes on. I was like, really? Who's teaching you that? And he's like, in school, that's what they teach us. So the right side's early. It's creative. It's holistic. It's whole body. It's also the left side of your body. Happens on the right side. So your right motor cortex controls the left side of your body. Okay? Sensory and motor. The left side controls your language, what you comprehend. You think all L's left. Logical. Right? Linear. Right? Language. Kind of all left. But then it controls the right side of your body. Right? Your right hand, your right leg, your right foot. All on the left side. And what you're feeling goes right there. Okay? So when this happens, when they work together, your body's happy, right? On the right and left, when you get a tug of war up there, you're not quite in the river of integration, as Dr. Daniel Siegel tells us, right? Isn't that nice river? And you'll see on the banks, the two banks here, right? The river is the integration, right? On the banks, you'll see rigidity versus chaos over here. And that's when you're injured, you travel one of those lines. Right? And you'll see it in the show. Meaningless will be real rigid. Not doing anything. Not open to anything. Not receptive to anything. Not listening to anything. And you see Concussed, he's out there. He is just doing everything. Right? Dancing and just carrying on. And so, problem with that is, though, you're not bringing meaning to the integration of the world. And that's what happens. When we can see ourselves sprain our ankle, we limp, we get real rigid, we get protective of ourselves. When we hurt our knee or tear our ACL, we get real rigid until we get to the people that help us in rehab, until we get to the doctors, and then they help coach us back into bringing the color back into our life, right? The definition back in our quad, back in the definition back in our calves, the definition back in our brain and our motor cortex. So it happens every time you get injured. You're either going to get rigid, you're going to go back to what you were before, right, in your brain, versus chaos. Right? You're looking at everything. You're going all these doctors, right? Just everything, open to everything. So we need to kind of be down the middle. And we all have our triggers and what happens there. It gets more pronounced when you get hurt. And then as a rehab professional, you go get hit in the head, you're having symptoms, and we have to delineate where the symptoms are coming from so that we can connect the dots again for you. It's the shearing of axons, right? So, here's how we connect the dots. There's 8 keys to neuroplasticity, and we use most of them in rehab. Can anybody help me? Nobody out there? I was going to give out like lollipops. And I know there's a class from Middletown here that's getting 10 points on their last quiz. Perhaps they could get 2 more if they answered a few questions.
Oh.
Not to call you guys out, but I do appreciate you guys coming. What's one of the most important things that you do at night? Yeah, number 1? You have 2 more points for 2 of them, right? Sleep. Let's not minimize this. It's important. It's important that we get the rest that we need. This is when we heal, right? And what's the first thing to go when we get stressed? Sleep. Oh, we can do more. We can do more. But that just sensitizes your system, and you're not able to heal. You're not able to reset. Okay? Anybody have any other options? In the red. Nutrition. Yeah, is that number 2? Well, look at this guy. Put him out there. Have you seen your class? Okay, so you get 4 points. You just, yes, healthy diet, right? Think about the diet that we eat when we feel good, right? If we eat a lot of sugar, we got a long roller coaster, right? Up and down and crash. Excessive sugar, probably not the best for us, and it causes inflammation in our system. Excessive sugar causes inflammation. Think about if your belly's all full and bloated. Do you think that's good for your body to be midline? Probably not. So we need to understand what our diet should be and what foods actually cause us issues, right? And cause us bloating. Anybody else have any ideas? Ooh, 2 points. Exercise. I don't know if that's number 3. That'd be great if it was. No, it's humor. The opening jokes, they were pretty good, right? But so if we laugh, exercise is very important. You do get 2 points. Yes. I think there it is, number 4. Excellent. Exercise, think about, and especially aerobic exercises, improves our neuroplasticity, 30 to 45 minutes. Yeah, it's good for your heart, but it's great for your brain. Think about when you're out for a run and you're connecting thoughts, and your motor cortex kind of sits behind your frontal lobe, where all your meaning is, right? Even if you just go out and walk, and you get all that limbic lava out, and you can connect to what the actual purpose is to what you were thinking about. It's good to get out and go for a 30-minute walk if you can, or 45 minutes. Let all those toxins out, right? Improve your neuroplasticity, your ability to be open and flexible, right? Adaptive. That's good for us. Practice, right? That's where rehab comes in. Practice, practice, practice. Somebody that knows how your body should be moving efficiently, right? You sprain your ankle, you're limping. Well, hey, if we get your joint lined up and your joint starts moving like this, and we practice it, you imprint on the brain. But it takes practice. It takes practice. Or we could not practice and we could just compensate. Compensate. And you'll see some symptoms, some real symptoms that we're going to present in the next act on concussions. And if we do the work around and compensate, then it becomes an issue in your brain. Because you're just compensating through that thought process, right? You're just compensating through being busy when you get up. Or you're just compensating. Whatever's bringing you down, you can check to see what it was, right? Practice. Yes, your thoughts, you got to practice them. And you'll see that Dr. Nancy Devereaux comes on stage and helps us practice our thoughts. Okay? And a meaningful experience. And that's what we're trying to create for you tonight, is a meaningful experience. Something new. Think about when you go to Disney or on vacation, and you go to someplace you really like that allows you to relax. Or you go and you meet a doctor or a rehab professional that actually brings meaning to your life. Right? Changes how you move. Connects new thoughts. Or you go learn. Right? Learning is part of neuroplasticity. And then we put attention to it and focus. Anybody have that number 8 in that row? You guys are really doing a good job participating. What's the one I'm missing? I told you you're going to have to dance. I told you you're going to have to sing. 2 more points. Starts with an M. Music. Yeah. Right? What's that? Music, right? Think about songs that bring back memories and thoughts. Think about it, if you can actually play a musical instrument, it triggers all those mirror neurons when you're listening to the songs and you can play it. Right? Or think about the timing of the music. It actually gets into you. And you start, if you're running, you're listening to your headphones, you're listening to a faster paced song, why don't you run a little faster? Or if you're skating to a different beat of the song. Right? Think about that. So these are all, you're like, what's that have to do with concussion? Well, this is who we are. This is neuroplasticity. This is how we make it open and objective to the rehab process. This is the process. This is how we do it. And this should speak volumes. 200,000 kilometers of cabling in the brain is replaced every few weeks by what you put into it. Into your brain. Every few weeks. The myelin. If you decide to work on something and get better at it, if you're a soccer player or a figure skater, and you're reaching to the next level, right? You're reaching to the next level, and then you hit it, right? You actually hit that move that you're working on, or that project you were working on, and it comes together. Well, that's all that insulation in your brain that you're working to connect. You're trying to connect those thoughts, right? Or that ability to hit that shot just right in your sport. It's all good. It connects the dots. And when it wires together in your brain, we say it fires together, right? And then it becomes really efficient, and that's the myelin that lays down and insulates that pattern that you want. Okay? So that's the neuroplasticity. And this is us working on your brain for concussion. You come in, and you have all these symptoms. And yes, it takes a team. It takes a team. Because we all have our fields of expertise, and we all work together to collaborate. And as you can see, the brain's, and that was just a short 20-minute segue, the brain's complicated, right? And how your wiring may be different than another person's wiring, and how we connect those dots is going to be different, and you play a part in that. That's why you're the caregiver in the second act. Okay? How you connect those dots, how you help us understand how to connect those dots, allows us to treat you better. Okay? So, it's time to learn the dance moves. Because we're about ready to go into the second act, and everybody has to dance. It's good for your brain. You don't look like you can dance. Okay. All right, good. Well, let me teach you the moves. There's only a few moves approved for the dance, the show. Because we're getting video, remember? Here. Okay. So, the brain bob. Simply to the beat of the music. You have your brains in your hand, just bob it to the beat. This is a single brain bob. Right hand, left side of the brain. Okay? Now, if you want to go double, get both of them up. Oh, now you cross the corpus callosum. Right? We got left. And if you want to triple it, this is crazy. Right here, you're just feeling it. Okay? You guys okay with that? All right. Number 2 is the safety brain, because we want to be safe when we're treating you. And it's important, so you get both brains up. Both brains up, right? And when you're safe, you look both ways, right? So it looks like this. Just like that. And if you want to bop, hit a bop over there, now you're building. Now you're building from the safety, right? Okay. Now this one, we probably should save for later in the show, because you're letting your emotions out, and you're starting to feel the music. So you put your brains up, and you start to raise the roof, okay? All right, let's save that one towards the end of the show, when that limbic lava is starting to come out. You guys are really feeling what's happening up here on stage, okay? And the brain bot, I don't think any of you probably should hit, because it's like a brain bot, just like that. And you don't want to hit your neighbor. But if I hit one, you can clap. Okay? All right, so here we go.
Is a live demonstration of the treatment someone would receive. Act 2.
Can you pick it up?
No. Okay. Let's try this one. Yay! Good. Act 2 is a live demonstration of the treatment someone would receive if these symptoms presented, and how the rehab team works together to help the patient. The evaluation and treatment sessions are shortened for the sake of the show, and sometimes it takes weeks or months to rehab, depending on the severity of the injury and the health history. Just as it takes a village to raise a child, it takes a multidisciplinary team and a supportive and informed community to treat a concussion. And now, introducing Meaningless and Concussed.
It's going down. I'm getting to more. You better move. You better dance. Let's make a night.
meaningless treatment.
Or maybe they have a patient like me who has a damaged frontal lobe and they don't know how to be meaningful.
What? You're meaningless? That's crazy, man. How did that happen?
They keep telling me it was at the Super Bowl. And I guess I went because the Eagles were playing, Philadelphia Eagles were playing. And I guess the crowd got really excited and knocked me down. I hit my head really hard on the bleachers. But I'm having a hard time remembering what happened in the game. I don't know what happened. Not that it matters, though. And nothing matters. Except when I talk about not remembering the game. It makes me go like this.
I love you.
Whoa, man, settle down, buddy. Settle down. We really got to get you some meaning. We got to get you some help. But I'm not sure how. Forgive me for being a little concussed. Ever since I was coaching soccer that one day, I went up with the head coach and we banged heads for a header. And I've just been foggy and having trouble connecting dots and, quite frankly, a little dizzy.
I know what you're talking about, man. But I need to reconnect with the meaning of my life. And I think we should call and schedule an appointment with the rehab services team of Christiana Care. I hope they'll make me flip my lid.
We love you.
I think, now that you tell me that, I think I'm supposed to do that too. And I was given the name this guy, Dr. Brad Sandella.
Heard of him?
Yeah, he apparently evaluates people for concussions and can tell us what a concussion is.
All right.
Because I don't even know, like, what's going on.
Let's go see.
Yeah.
I want the good life every good night, girl. I want the whole. You don't even know. I can make your hands clap. Said I can make your hands clap.
Gentlemen, concussed, meaningless. I'm happy to see you, but what brings you in?
Well, I hit my head with another coach, and now my memory's like not the same. I'm having trouble remembering. Like, my wife tells me to do something in the morning, and I don't do it, and that's not good. And dizzy, and I have a headache and right-sided neck pain.
Oh man, there's a lot going on right here.
Yeah.
Meaningless?
I hit my head at the Super Bowl. The Eagles were playing.
Oh, not yet.
That's what I think.
That was a long time ago, though.
Yeah. Brain's complicated. And I'm just feeling foggy. And when I try to set my fantasy football lineup, it's just confusing. Makes me flip my lid.
Love you. Well, I'm concerned. And I think, well, you guys are showing signs of concussion. So, when we think about concussion, concuss means to shake violently. And, we always think about that when we talk about concussion. And, current statements out there kind of describe this as it's a complex process that affects our brain. And apparently there's a few things that are hallmarks for a concussion. So anytime that there's a traumatic blow to the head, the neck, the face, somewhere in your body that can transmit a force up through to your brain, you develop some neurological symptoms, and they're often short-lived, but you definitely experience it, and you guys are both describing a whole host of neurological problems. And what's most concerning, and this is one of the hardest things for people to understand, that there's a functional impairment. We can't look at you and see a concussion, but we can tell by the impairment that you're having that there's something functional going on, so this needs to be addressed. What you describe with your symptoms, these are a lot of things that we see. So, there's a whole host of things that make the symptoms of a concussion. And, when we kind of talk about them, yeah, a lot of people have that experience, pretty much how you're feeling right now. So these are a lot of the symptoms that we describe and that we always talk about whenever we talk about a concussion. And you guys have both already described a lot of these things. I hear, the dizziness and the difficulty concentrating and the difficulty with perception and the feeling foggy and feeling slowed down. So if you ask me, I think we need to get you guys some help. I think my idea would be we have to take you out of work, we have to rest your brain, and we need to get you some rehab. So I'm going to use this snazzy new tool to I'm going to use this to check off the symptoms that you're describing as your biggest complaint, and that way our therapists and all of our rehab people can know exactly what we're treating. So I heard there was some trouble with some perception.
That's me.
Yeah, got that. And
So I'm going to OT.
you're on OT. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And then I know there was some mental fatigue, and I hear some some depression stuff and some fogginess. So I'm kind of hitting everybody here. So also, dizziness up here. Shh, get that one. Headache. So headache kind of falls into the manual therapy, some of the exertional stuff. And I'm going to give you guys some direction where you can go also. So here's a couple service sites that you guys can see. We have places all over this part of Delaware to get you the correct care and the proper treatment that you guys will benefit from here.
All right. Thank you.
You can be amazing, turn a phrase into a weapon or a drug. You can be the outcast and be the back.
Hi there.
Hi.
I'm
How are you?
Mindy.
Hey,
I'm
I'm Meaningless.
Nice to meet you, Meaningless. I am a speech language pathologist.
Nice to meet
I
you.
do want to say welcome to Christiana Care. We have an excellent team of rehab specialists who are here to help you and to help you in your recovery. So
Sounds great.
you can't come to a better place, in my opinion.
All right.
So I hear you have a concussion.
That's what they say.
I'm sorry to hear that. So, something that I hear a lot as a speech therapist who works with adults, a lot of people say, you know what, I'm talking okay, but, why do I need to go to a speech therapist?
Right.
So speech
I was wondering the same thing.
Yeah, I feel like I'm talking okay, right? We actually work on a lot of different areas. So in speech therapy, we do help people with their speech, which is how the words sound when you speak, articulation. We also can help with language, which is how you find words to say and understand words, understand what people are saying. Cognition is your thinking, your memory. We help with that. We also help with people who have problems with their voice, and also people who have problems with swallowing. We help them to eat and drink safely. So it sounds like with a concussion, you're probably having some issues with cognition, and that's why you're here. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So it is very common when you have a concussion that people can have these cognitive changes. And one of the biggest things that I hear, one of the biggest complaints is this brain fog, this fogginess. Things just don't feel right with my thinking. My brain feels tired. A lot of people have problems with short-term memory. They can't remember, they can't focus. They can't process, things when they're reading or they're listening, they just feel like their processing is slow. And that executive functioning, which is that higher level thinking that allows us to plan and organize and multitask and make good judgments, sometimes that can be affected. So Meaningless, what would you say your symptoms are here?
So, I don't know if anybody else here watches football or plays fantasy football, but I have a really hard time setting my lineup. Every Thursday, the lineup is due, and I just can't seem to remember to do it.
Okay.
And when I get to that point, I have a hard time picking the players, and it's just really difficult for me. I can't seem to do it. I used to know how, but I don't know anymore.
So would you say that's one of your goals, is you want to be able to plan for your fantasy football lineup?
Well, if I can do that, then I can beat my friends in fantasy football.
Okay, well, I think that's a good goal. How are you doing with being able to focus when you're watching a football game? Are you doing okay with that?
It's difficult. It's very difficult. I don't know. Sometimes I kind of get lost in who has the ball and which team's turn it is to go on offense and defense. I get really confused with that kind of stuff when I watch the game.
Okay, well, it sounds like we've got some things to work on then. So something that you should know is that there are things out there that will make these symptoms worse. We call them brain drains because there's things that can drain your brain. They can make your symptoms worse. And the good thing is these are things that you can control. So we talk about fatigue. If you are tired, it is going to make it more difficult for you to focus. It's going to make it more difficult for you to remember and to do what you want to do. Okay? Same thing with overstimulation, whether it's visual, there's a lot of commotion, auditory, there's a lot of noise. I'll be honest with you, one of probably the best examples of this is actually going to a football game. right? And so that's probably not something you should be doing right now, because
Really?
that's a lot of overstimulation. What I would suggest to you is maybe you should just stay home and record the game. Instead of having everyone over, if you really want to focus on that game, record it so that you can pause it, so that you can rewind it if you miss something. If you need to take a break, you can pause it and then take a break and come back to it. You might want to turn off your social media so you don't get any like spoil alerts, right?
Like Instagram and Facebook.
Exactly. But don't have everybody over. Just watch it, maybe you and your wife or something like that, and that might help with that overstimulation. If you have increased emotions, whether you're angry or stressed or sad or anxious, that can make your symptoms worse. That can make you not focus as much. That can make your memory worse. So, like let's say the Eagles lose to the Cowboys.
Oh,
I don't know, that's bad, right? Maybe that's not, and you're really angry about that. Maybe that's not the best time to sit down and pay your bills or have a really important conversation. And then time demands, if there's time pressure, if you're waiting until the last minute to put in your fantasy football roster, that time pressure is going to probably make your anxiety go up. It's probably going to make you not as focused. So these are all things that you can control, and they might help you with your symptoms. So be aware of what things make your symptoms worse, and try to avoid that. Does that make sense?
It does.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your problem is that you can't really plan out your fantasy football.
Yeah.
Metacognitive strategy training, metacognition means we're thinking about how we think. So there's something you can do about that. Let's make a plan. So what I want you to do is we're going to kind of list out this. It's overwhelming for you to think about planning your roster. Let's break it up into steps, something that you can actually write out and follow. So let's see here. Today's Monday. When is your lineup due?
Thursday.
All right, so you're not going to wait till Wednesday night, right?
Correct.
So let's break it up. So Monday, maybe tonight, you can sit down, set a timer on your phone, have a time at home where you're sitting by yourself in a quiet room. Maybe you can print out all of the game schedules, right, for the week, so you know who's playing who, what time, what day, so you have that. Then Tuesday, what's something that you could do? Maybe you can make a list of all the players on your roster who have an injury.
Right.
So those are people who you're not going to be playing, right?
Correct.
And then Wednesday, maybe you could make your roster from that.
Yeah.
Do you think that's a good plan?
I think it's
So you're breaking it up into steps. Minimize distractions. Make sure you're in a quiet room. Like I said, set yourself a timer, and then go back and check off the list to make sure you completed all the steps. Does that make sense?
okay. That sounds good.
Meaningless, I think that you are absolutely going to be successful in your recovery. Okay?
All right. That
All
sounds
right.
good to me.
I think we're going to pass you along to the next therapist. You ready?
That sounds good to me.
All right.
Let's go.
I remember when I lost my mind. There was something so pleasant about being out there. Well, out there, yeah, I was out all the time.
Hello, Concussed. My name is Stacy Gangia. I'm a vestibular physical therapist, and I'm here to assess some of the symptoms that you've had after your concussion.
Yeah, Dr. Sandella said you're going to help me with the whoosh. I get up from laying down, and the room is like, whoosh.
That is a strong symptom and a good description of your dizziness. As a vestibular physical therapist, I'm going to kind of assess where your dizziness is coming from, whether it might be from a peripheral cause or a central cause.
Okay.
And after head trauma, and using this description in your symptoms, it sounds like it could be from a peripheral cause and directly related to your vestibular system in your inner ear.
And you can help me with that.
I can definitely help you
And,
with
and
that.
Daryl, my caregiver, says I'm having a little memory trouble right now, too, so.
We're going to make sure that they're involved in your care as well,
Okay.
and help you with some of the home exercises that I'm going to give you. So let's look at the vestibular system. It's a small but mighty organ embedded in your skull, very close to your brain, in your inner ear. And the vestibular system kind of gives our brain signals about when our head is moving and balance information.
Oh, like a nerve tells it? Or
One of the
what?
nerves is the vestibulocochlear nerve. Yes.
Vestibular cochlear.
Yes. Gives lots of information to the brain. You can see it there, closely related, about balance. And this is just kind of a picture of the organs in your inner ear that tell us where our head is moving, and you're describing this whoosh when you're having head movements.
Right.
And so
Something's going on in there.
something is going on in there. Normally we have crystals in our inner ear that are connected to some of the neural tissue.
I have crystals in my ear?
Yes,
Oh.
these here, the otoconia.
Otoconia.
And
So it's not like gems I can mine for.
they're kind of like that.
Oh, okay.
They do have the crystal shape.
Are they worth anything?
Yours are definitely. So, your crystals seem to be floating in an area where is not normal,
Okay.
and we need to do some positioning maneuvers to get them back into the right organs.
I would like
so
that.
you're not experiencing this whooshing sensation
No,
anymore.
I don't want any more whoosh.
Thank you. It is easily treatable.
Okay.
And I'm going to do some positional testing. I believe that your symptoms are associated with what's called BPPV. So it would be benign paroxysmal positional vertigo.
I'm not going to have to repeat that. am I?
You are not going to have to.
That's good.
I will remind you if I have to. But we're going to do some positional testing, and I'll do some maneuvers to test it, and then it's very easily treatable. I will give you a home exercise program to follow up with.
That I have to remember.
That you're going to have to remember, but I'm going to have your caregiver help you remember this exercise as well.
Because later in the show, I might have to remember, like when I'm in speech.
When your speech therapist will also help you with some memory strategies.
Okay.
And that's going to benefit you to remember some of your home exercises.
Thank you.
You're welcome. This is easily treatable. If you have any further balance problems or issues with dizziness, I will be happy to help you as well. But I think you're going to do great. And this is
it.
Branderoff exercise.
Okay.
Very
And
easy
that-
to remember. I'll give you a picture as well.
It makes the whoosh go away.
That's going to help you as well as your vestibular treatments.
Okay. Thank you, Stacey. I'm feeling hopeful.
You're welcome.
All right.
Good luck with the rest of your treatments.
Thank you. Hey, Meaningless.
How you feeling, Concussed?
I'm feeling a little more hopeful. I'm feeling a little less dizzy, a little less foggy.
You're still nutty.
Oh, I can see you're getting some of your meaning back.
I think you could say that. You could say that. I hope this Dr. Nancy person helps give my thoughts and meaning and emotion.
I've heard good things about Dr. Nancy, and I'll tell you what, I'm going to head to OT so I can start seeing straight.
All right.
Hello, Meaningless.
Hello, Dr. Nancy.
I'm Dr. Nancy Devereaux.
Hi.
I have neuropsychologist at Christiana Care. I understand you're having a lot of problems coping with the effects of your injury.
You could say that. Absolutely.
Tell me a little more about what you're going through.
I'm feeling kind of depressed, kind of anxious. I have a hard time to set my fantasy football lineup. And that gets me depressed and anxious. Because if I can't beat my friends, then I get embarrassed. And sometimes I feel like I can't talk to my family members about these symptoms because they just don't get it. They don't understand.
Well, you sound really overwhelmed, and there's a
I
lot
am.
going on trying to come to terms with this. Well, as a rehabilitation neuropsychologist,
Whoa.
I know. But one of the things I want to let you know is that we help you put together understanding what happened with the brain, interacting with your personality and your own coping mechanisms and your goals. And we help individualize a treatment plan to help you with coping and managing your mood.
Sounds great. I need that.
So one thing I'd like to ask you about is if you're feeling depressed, do you feel like life isn't worth living? It's really important to know how you're feeling with the depression.
I wouldn't say it's that bad. It's not that bad.
Okay. Because if it's really persistent or getting really down for you, then we can recommend through the doctors a medication. Otherwise, there's techniques that we can help you with in neuropsychology.
Okay. Like what?
Well, one thing that's important is to know, are you kind of replaying negative, kind of critical self-talk?
or hopeless and meaningless kind of self-talk where you just,
I think so. Like when I try to explain things to my family members, when they don't get it, I have to keep explaining it to them over and over again. And like I said, they don't understand me. They don't understand where I'm coming from.
you feel really frustrated.
I do, yeah.
And it sounds like you feel like your caregivers aren't as supportive as you want them to be.
You could say that.
And yet, I bet they really want to be. There could be a communication issue. It's hard for you to understand and explain your symptoms, and they don't totally get it. So we could have a fit, and yourself too, a little more about this connections between.
So my wife could come.
Oh, sure, yeah.
And my son.
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
We
He's
can-
only one though.
Well, he can come maybe with a toy or.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't think he's going to get it yet.
Okay.
But they know when you're not feeling great, so it's worth helping you with the coping.
All right.
And to explain sometimes to your family that my brain is feeling fogged right now, or I've just had too much, I need to regroup, I need a break. Like, we work a lot with integrating with speech therapy services.
I already had speech therapy. It was great.
Yeah, you're going to learn pacing and rest breaks because you need it for your emotions as well as the cognition.
Great.
And also, I bet you've been kind of avoiding activities and not doing as much.
I have, yeah. I don't. I used to go out to the sports bars to watch football games with my friends, and I don't do that much anymore. So.
Is it because you're kind of embarrassed, or is it too stimulating?
Yeah, it's a little overstimulating, and just all the noise and everything. It just kind of really kind of messes my brain up.
So maybe we could work on sort of an activity schedule, because avoidance isn't going to help your mood, but kind of gradually increasing socialization, maybe in a quiet environment with 1 or 2 people first.
Okay.
There's things we can do to help you gain more meaning in your life again.
That's what I'm after.
Better socialization. So,
Right.
so basically working on some of your thought style, your socialization and communication, and some techniques for managing your mood,
Okay.
with breathing and relaxation. A couple
Okay.
things we can do.
Excellent.
And there's one more thing that might actually help your mood.
Oh, wow. Okay.
The Eagles won the Super Bowl.
Hi, Concussed. How you doing?
Good. Are you Lori?
I'm Lori. I'm from occupational therapy. I heard you just came from Stacy from physical therapy.
Yep. And she told me you're going to get me seeing straight.
That's my plan. So
Okay.
Dr. Sandella told me that you're having some trouble with your vision.
Yeah. So I'm like working on my computer,
Mm-hmm.
and then I look up, and I'm like, it's blurry, and I get fatigued quickly, and I get kind of aggravated about that.
Okay, well, occupational therapy, we're looking at all the things that you want to do in your everyday life, and it sounds like the computer use is really important to you. Your vision is actually affected in several different ways since a concussion. So you have 2 different areas of your brain that are responsible for your vision. The one is located in the back of your brain, which is responsible for how your brain processes what comes in through your eyes. So it's not just how well you can see. You can see the clock fine, you can see me fine. You can read okay, but the problem is your brain doesn't necessarily focus and get all that together. So that's your perceptual area down here. Your oculomotor cortex is actually in the front part of your brain up here, and that's what controls the way your eyes move.
Okay.
Whether they move smoothly, whether they move quickly, or whether they can move and work together. And it sounds like that moving together is the problem that you're having, with not being able to look close and then look far away.
Okay. Yeah. That's you nailed it.
Okay.
That's it right there.
Yep.
And if you're going to give me any exercises, you got to tell these people.
Okay.
Because they're my caregiver.
Okay. Well, here's some idea of where those areas of the brain are. So that purple area there is where that motor cortex is located. That's
Right
helping
there.
to move your eyes.
Number 12.
Number 12. Yep.
Okay.
And your perceptual area is number 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So what symptoms are you having besides? I know you're having trouble with looking at the computer and looking far away. Are there any other symptoms that I need to know about?
No, that helps me do my job, and,
Okay.
and I do get fatigued from that. So
Yeah.
I think that's the main thing.
Okay, the fatigue might lead to some things like double vision, especially in areas of vergence where the eyes aren't working so well together with converging and diverging.
Right.
So if you have those sorts of issues, these exercises are going to help.
Okay.
Okay?
Great.
All right. So, so what we're going to be working on is accommodation and getting those eyes to move better together. So if you look at this, and I'm going to give a copy of this to you and to your caregivers,
Okay.
so they can see what normal convergence looks like. So when you're looking at something far away, your eyes have to move apart.
Okay.
And when you're looking at something near, your eyes have to almost cross to see something that's really close. So the muscles in your eyes, just like the muscles in the rest of your body, have been damaged from the concussion that you've had.
So you're saying I'm a little slow doing both of these things?
You're a little slow in both directions,
Okay,
yes,
and
moving
that's-
inward
and
and
that's-
moving outward.
And that's why I'm getting fatigued and
Yep.
blurry. And,
Yep, your eyes
okay.
are having to work harder to
Oh.
get the job done. So we're going to make them stronger and more efficient.
Okay, I'm looking
Okay.
forward. Yes, how are we going to do that?
All right, so we can help in a lot of different ways. We're going to teach you some exercises, just you and also your caregivers. We're going to show them how to do these exercises, and you'll get a handout to take home with you.
Okay.
You're going to practice, do these at home. You're going to do them as prep and therapy. And then we're going to do activities that are going to use that skill. So we're going to have something close to you, something far away, and work on integrating that skill into things you have to do every day. So watching TV and playing on your iPad at the same time. Not a good idea after concussion. However, we all kind of live that way at some point or another.
Okay.
You might have to change the way you do things. And you're going to be talking with Dale, who's your speech therapist, and she's actually going to teach you some strategies to help with those components as well.
Okay.
And if worse comes to worse, but I don't think you're going to need it, we might have to refer you to somebody else if we've maxed out what we can do here. But
Okay.
your symptoms sound like I can help you, so I'm really excited.
I think I'm in the right place.
All right,
Mm.
so I'm going to show you an exercise called pencil push-ups.
Ooh, I love doing push-ups.
Hey, hey. These
Yeah.
are for your eyes, though. These are not for your muscles in your
Okay.
arms, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to take this marker, and I have one to show you.
Okay.
And what you're going to do is you're going to keep it far away from you at arm's length and
Mhm.
keep it in focus.
Okay.
You're going to move it closer into your eyes until it starts to look a little blurry or gets double.
About right there.
That's where you need to stop.
Okay.
Get fixation back, so make sure you get it back into focus,
Uh-huh.
and then slowly move it back out to arm's length.
I get it. Push-ups.
Okay, it's a
And
push-up,
yeah.
see? Your eyes are doing push-ups.
All right.
So you're going to do these 2 times a day. 10 repetitions will usually do it, but if you fatigue before that, I want you to stop.
Okay.
And I want you to really push yourself to come in a little bit closer each time and keep it in focus.
Okay.
All right? The goal is to get you to about 4 inches from your nose, which is pretty close.
Yeah. All this eye work is reminding me of a joke.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You're one of those guys, aren't you?
What did one eye say to the other?
What?
Between you and me, something smells.
You and I are going to get along just fine. Let's get you to Dale's speech therapy.
Don't let your life pass you by.
Hello there.
I heard you're Dale.
I am Dale.
I've heard a lot about you, and I heard you're going to put me in touch with my memory.
I am. I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
So I'm a speech pathologist, and Mindy went over some things that we work with, and one of them is memory. And I have a question about what are you having trouble with? What are you having trouble remembering?
Well, in the morning, since I'm not at work, my wife gives me this big to-do list. And normally, I get it done, right, because I want to make her happy.
Yes.
Right.
We know that's important.
But lately, she just gives it to me. I never had to write it down, and I'm not doing it. She comes home and it's just, I don't know. How would that make you feel if
I bet your caregiver might feel a little frustrated.
Yeah.
So the question is, if you're doing it the way you used to do it and it's not working, there's a reason.
Well, I used to just put it right here on my heart,
Right there.
and then right to my brain,
And right to your brain.
and it gets done.
And it would go
Yep.
directly.
That's how it works. Yep.
So since your brain is slightly different because of the concussion, and you're going through a recovery process, what you do has to be slightly different as well.
Okay.
So we're going to go through a few strategies
Okay.
and talk about some things that you can do to improve your memory while you're going through this recovery process. I heard you talk about compensations. So sometimes we compensate while we're remediating.
Okay.
Compensate while we remediate.
Okay.
But the best thing is there's something special. Oh, I have something special for you.
Oh, a gift. Uh-oh. Oh,
I have a gift. I have a present.
problem.
Prop. And the present is therapy. The gift of therapy. And we're going to wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
You're going to teach me.
Do it
what
like
that
this.
means.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
Wrap it up.
So there are things that you can do to help you remember, and WRAP, W-R-A-P, is an acronym to help you remember. So let's go through it. So by writing things down, or making a list, using the motor memory of the physical action of writing, deposits in one side of your brain,
Okay.
and reviewing it uses another part of your brain.
Okay.
Repetition, repeating things. Repeat, repeat,
I'm hearing a
repeat.
lot of practice.
Ah, like those vestibular exercises.
I
You must
don't-
repeat them.
I don't remember the name
I-
though.
What is the name?
Well, they're supposed to help me remember.
Okay, we'll work on that.
Okay.
Routine, being consistent every day. Get up and do the same thing. Every day, have a daily schedule. That really helps remember. But anchoring it, associating it, helps you remember things as well. So we always associate, where do we put your keys? I hang it on the key. It has a
Okay.
home. Give it a home.
Give it a home.
Anchor it. And then picture it. If you find that you remember things better when you visualize it, maybe your visual memory is better than your auditory memory.
Okay.
So we can think about how you hear or visualize that memory to-do list.
So I could picture it. Or I could take a picture.
That's right.
Post it on
So there's some
Instagram.
other strategies. Take a picture.
Okay.
So looking on, we have strategies that are internal and external. So our internal strategies that we use to help remember, strengthen your brain, like this, strengthen the brain, like that.
Yeah.
So we repeat things. We repeat our phone numbers, names, directions. Maybe you have to repeat the to-do list when you hear it.
Okay.
Associate.
So say it back to my wife.
That's right. So to clarify.
Confirmation that I heard it. Okay.
Mhm. Give it a home.
Okay.
Picture it. If you visualize, I have to do this, then this, then this. It might help you remember. But W-R-A-P. If you write it, repeat it, associate it, picture it, wrap it up.
And I get the
Like
gift.
this. You get the gift.
Yeah.
Gift of therapy. Wrap it up.
Very nice.
Also, we have other strategies that are external. And that's similar to what I talked about with wrapping it, but perspective memory. It sounds like you have trouble remembering to remember. Does anybody else have trouble remembering to remember? Everybody shake your head, because the answer is yes. So remembering to remember, we have to remember to pay the bill. Remember to do your exercises.
Yes.
Remember to say, I love you to a family member, right?
Right.
These are things that, remembering to remember, use your strategies. But also there's low-tech writing, there's high-tech on your cell phone. So you can use your cell phone for the to-do list, set an alarm, maybe a reminder, and guess what?
What's that?
There's an app for that.
There's an app for
There's
that?
an app for
No
that.
way. Like the
Yes.
Make a Brains app?
Could be.
Okay. Yeah.
But guess what? You have a gift of therapy. Use those strategies. I think you're going to do very well because you've got great attitude and you've got good motivation and you're young. And that always helps with recovery from a concussion.
I'm already feeling better.
That's good.
And I have good support.
You do have good support. So remember, they're going to remind you. You're going to use your strategies. Wrap it up.
Wrap it up. All right.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Strong concussed. I think those pencil push-ups, maybe even some real push-ups are working for you.
Yeah, I'm feeling better. I'm less foggy, and this Christiana Care Rehab team is really dynamic. And you seem like you're better.
I gotta tell you something. The Philadelphia Eagles. It might surprise you, but they won that Super Bowl.
That's nutty.
That was awesome.
Now that's nutty. I think we have one last phase to go. I got this kink on the right side of my neck. Just can't see the safety brain, meaningless. I just can't get my brain to the right. So I'm told we need to go to Dr. Travis Ross. Yeah. So now we need to put our brains up. Dr. Travis Ross, come down, stand up.
Hey, how's it going?
So, better. I still have this kink in my right neck, and still having trouble turning my brain to the right. And I heard your hands are like amazing. So I was told by Dr. Sandella to come see you to help the kink in my neck.
Well, that's what I can do, definitely. So the component I take care of is more of a manual physical therapist. So what are your symptoms? You have pain in your neck. You previously had a headache too, right?
Yep. It was just like right behind this eye, like right around.
Gotcha. That's a very common injury and symptom after a concussion. The force you had to do while hitting that soccer ball. A lot of trauma on the head, a lot of trauma on the brain, a lot of trauma on the neck. So we have a lot of pain. So it looks like you're working through some things, but you're still kind of stuck in a couple spots. I believe Stacey already got rid of your dizziness, but that's another thing manual therapy can do. We also work with dizziness, the fogginess, the headache, and you also have a little bit limited range of motion. So what we can do is get our hands right in there. We help move those tight muscles, move those tight joints that happen from the trauma, and get it moving a little bit better. Let's see this way. All right, so what I can do is just try. You've been trying to stretch it out.
You want to try and work on my brain a little
Absolutely,
bit and get it turned to the right a little bit?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so tight.
Oh,
Feel right there in that neck.
So
Right
you just seem to
rotation.
know what to work on.
Absolutely.
How do you know where it's tight?
Man, these hands, they've just been doing it for so long. It's very common to have a couple of symptom patterns to go with the upper neck, the bottom neck, and a lot of other symptoms in the head itself.
Oh, yeah, it's starting to feel better.
Feel that?
Yeah.
Yep. And as I can give you some exercise at home, and you can keep going.
Yeah,
Get
whoa,
that-
look
get
at that.
that going.
Ooh, I need to show this to Meaningless.
And check this out.
Hey, Meaningless, hey, watch me. Watch me.
Check this out. That was very good. So sweet right rotation. Wasn't it? But we're not done. Do you feel like you're ready to return to all your exercises and all your daily living?
I am feeling better, but I'm a little nervous about getting back to helping with soccer practice, and I like to run, and Meaningless and I are PTs too, so I don't know if we have the physical stamina.
It's a very vigorous job.
Yes.
So we need you on your top of your keys. So some of the things that you stop doing is you start going back to work. And if we get going back to work too quickly, these symptoms can kind of come back. And you start getting the brain fog. If we just push things too fast, like the world's going through so fast, we try to keep it up, we're going to go relapse. And you're going to have to start the rehab process over again. So we can just stress the process out appropriately. That would be the big key.
So how do we, do you have a plan that we can reintegrate into?
I do. I have a sweet little graph here. Oh, we don't have that. Describe it anyways. So basically what we do, we have certain levels, okay? So the people from University of Pittsburgh Medical Center developed a protocol, really nice protocol, that kind of takes your exercise and grades it as it goes, and we check your exercise level with your heart rate. So when we're going too much, too fast, our heart rate starts spiking up because we're just doing too much. Our body can't handle it. We start getting our headaches again. We start getting our neck pain again. We get foggy. We get dizzy. And we get so many other symptoms. So if we just take it one step at a time.
So you check my heart rate, and I need to keep it at a level that I can tolerate, kind of thing?
Exactly. So we start
here's
with,
your graph.
Yep, here it is. So that's the super semantics of it all, but it really breaks down to the next slide. Nice and easy. So we're going very light activity at the very beginning. Right now, you guys with the rest of the team, it had you guys progressing really fast. We probably get you guys going at about a moderate to hard level of intensity to get you back to your job, soccer, watching football, setting lineups. It's very extremes.
All right.
Especially the Eagles play.
So you're gonna move us.
That's right. We're going to get you guys moving.
I like to move it.
I like to move it. You like to move it. I like to
Face looking good. Very impressive, guys. Do you guys feel like a lot of your parents are set? You guys have strategies that you guys can use at home to get you guys through the rest of this?
I think I have a plan, but I don't feel like I'm ready to graduate yet from all the therapy. I just want to work through it. And I'm hopeful, though, that I'm going to connect these dots.
That's what it's all about. It's all about support group, and it's all about staying within your means and not pushing it too far, too quickly.
Okay. Thanks, Dr. Trav.
No
That
problem.
was very helpful.
Yeah, you guys doing great.
Thank you, Rob.
Hey, Meaningless, you're looking better. It's like you're meaningful now. Meaningful.
Wow.
You've been transformed.
Your memory's improving.
Yeah.
You can tell this rehab services team really strives for excellence in their work.
Yeah, and I feel like Mr. Wellbeing now, and you can tell that they love what they do. So I just feel like it's been a good rehab process.
All it takes is one song to bring back 1,000 memories. Now let's welcome back the cast members of Naked Brains on stage and get ready for our closing sing-along.
Remember I said you guys are going to sing with us, right? So the cast, follow what the cast does, okay? So, you ready, Chris?
Yeah, right.
Chris and I are going to do a little duet. We are not singers, so here we go. We're happy that we went to rehab. We said, yeah, yeah, yeah. We're happy that we went to the doctor. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're happy that we went to speech. Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're happy that we went to neuropsych. We're happy that we went to PT. We're happy that we went to OT. And we're happy that we went to rehab.